So now we're going to go to our first speaker. So Megan, can you say hello?
Hello, everyone. Nice
Well,
to be here today.
thank you so much for being with us today. So can you pull up your slides?
Absolutely.
Action. All right, that looks fantastic. Take it away.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. It is such an honor to be here today speaking with you all. My name is Megan Keeney. I am the Direct Response Renewal Manager at Feed the Children, where I've had the pleasure of working and helping children all around the world for the past 12 and a half years. It truly is the honor of a lifetime to do work that is so meaningful, and I'm sure many of you feel the same way in your roles. It's just so exciting to have something that really lives in what you're passionate about. And another big passion of mine is leadership. So being here today and getting to speak with you all is incredible. I'm so thankful. It is really such an honor to be surrounded by so many strong and talented women. And today I'm thrilled to share a little bit about the journey from a support role to a leadership role. And this is a journey that we all experience in both life and career. As women, we often wear many hats. We're mentors, caregivers, visionaries, and so much more. And some of us step into leadership intentionally, while others find ourselves called to it in unexpected moments. Whether you see yourself as an aspiring leader still finding your voice or a seasoned leader with many years of experience, the principles of leadership remain universal and can be implemented at any point along the way. In fact, there is immense value in starting right where you are today, embracing the journey and intentionally developing the traits and values that will shape you into the exceptional leader that we all strive to be. The kind of leader that our world needs, that we need in our workplaces, in our families, in our friend groups, and in our communities. True leadership is not just about title or position. It's about influence. It's about our ability to create impact and having the boldness to step forward when it matters the most. And I believe that there is something uniquely powerful that women bring to leadership. We don't just take our seat at the table, but we often create more seats. We amplify the voices of those who feel unheard, and we redefine what leadership looks like altogether. We lead with resilience and empathy, and with a deep understanding and appreciation of what it means to uplift those and lift them up with us. We know that leadership is not just about personal success. It's about creating opportunities, breaking barriers, and paving the way for others so that the next generation of leaders can go farther than we ever imagined. And that is what makes this journey so worthwhile and so powerful. The journey from a support role to a leadership one is something that I have been navigating over the past few years, and it has been filled with many valuable lessons. I've learned through mistakes, moments of doubt, and times when imposter syndrome shook my confidence to the core. But I've also learned from the many incredible leaders who I have had the privilege of working with. They have inspired me, showing what true leadership looks like. And today, I want to share some of the most impactful lessons that I've gained along the way. Lessons that continue to shape me into the kind of leader that I aspire to be. So, with that, we will start with our first slide. And this is something that was really important for me to learn early on. And that is thinking of confidence as a skill and not a trait. Some people are just more prone to having that level of confidence that we all desire. But it isn't something that you are either born with or not born with. It is definitely something that can and should be intentionally developed as you start in your career and throughout the length of your career. Even really experienced people really struggle with confidence, and it is absolutely something that can be grown. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. First of all, confidence is built by seeing yourself overcome challenges. If you feel like you're currently in a place where you don't have many opportunities to be challenged, then seek those opportunities out and be open to them coming your way unexpectedly. I am one of those people, and if you are not one of these people, then you certainly know one. But I am the type of person that has 100 hobbies. I constantly crave new experiences and get a lot of fulfillment through taking on the challenge of learning a new skill. And I would just love to encourage and let you know that I think a hobby is such a good way and something small that could start really helping build confidence. And you can also have some fun along the way. I'm all about having fun as often as possible. You can ask my team, they're on this call. Building confidence can be and should be fun, and it will only help you as you grow in your leadership role to set the pace of a good mindset around confidence and not seeing it as something that has to be scary and something that has to be a chore. Once you feel ready, or even if you never feel ready, push yourself and you'll be better for it. I cannot give a better example of this than me being here talking with y'all today. Did I think even a year ago that I would have the confidence to speak to so many incredible women here today? Absolutely not. So thank you all for joining my confidence building session. We're doing this together, and it means a lot to me that I have this opportunity. Another good piece of advice with confidence is that it is built through experience. So some of that comes with time, but something else to consider when building confidence is looking for specific opportunities that align with your career and life goals. At first, this may feel daunting and self-doubt can definitely creep in. But with each decision that we make and each lesson learned that aligns with our goals, we grow more assured in our capacity to be a leader. And true confidence doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from facing the unknown, knowing that you'll never know everything, but learning from your mistakes and proving to yourself over time that you are capable. Another great thing about building confidence is that it forces you to step outside of your comfort zone. Building confidence requires stepping beyond what feels safe and familiar. Growth doesn't happen in our comfort zones. I think we all heard that many times growing up and in our careers. It starts outside of your comfort zone. It happens in the moments when we push ourselves to take on new challenges, speak up when it's hard and feels intimidating, and take risks despite the uncertainty of the outcome. Each time we stretch beyond our comfort zone, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of more than we thought. But also sit in those uncomfortable moments, and over time, what once felt so intimidating and so hard to do will become second nature. So at least there's a payoff because it's hard. It's hard to be uncomfortable. It's not something that I personally ever like to do, but see how necessary it is to grow, especially in the light of becoming that leader that you really want to be. Building confidence is also key to overcoming imposter syndrome. This is something that I think everyone deals with at one point or another. It's something that I have personally struggled with and do continue to from time to time. But my intentional and deliberate effort of building confidence has truly helped me in this area, as well as letting there be some time to build up the experience. That certainly has helped as well. But imposter syndrome thrives on self-doubt. It makes us question whether we truly belong and even if we deserve our success, which is so sad. The key to silencing that inner harshest critic that we'll ever face is through building confidence. When we step up and we take on the hard challenges and we see our efforts turn into results, we start to replace that doubt with proof of our own capabilities. Confidence isn't about never feeling uncertain. It's about choosing to move forward in spite of your doubts. The more we push ourselves, the more we realize that we are not imposters, but we are leaders in the making, earning our place through experience, growth, perseverance, and building a tolerance for what is sometimes very uncomfortable. The next lesson that I would love to share that has been so important for me is that the best leaders are consistent, and consistency builds trust. Trust and the importance of being consistent as a leader can never be understated. Trust is not built in a single moment. I think we know that. It's earned, and it's earned through consistency over time. When people see that you show up reliably, you follow through on your commitments, and you lead with integrity, that trust begins to build. Consistency in actions, words, decisions, and goals. It creates a sense of stability and dependability, which is essential in leadership. It's not about being perfect, but it is about being steady and transparent and accountable. When others know that they can count on you in the big and the small, that trust becomes the foundation for a deeper, stronger relationship, and it develops that deeper level of influence that exceptional leaders provide for the people in their life. This is something that my current and former boss both do exceptionally well, but in different ways. Being consistent holds you to a certain standard, but it doesn't have to box you into one leadership style. My previous boss, in a very loving way, was tough on you. He had such a genuine level of care, and that everyone under his leadership umbrella, that they reach their full potential. And this leadership style is great and can be incredibly effective, but it must be accompanied by a deep level of genuine care for those that you're leading. Otherwise, it just comes off as harsh and unapproachable. Because he was so consistent in showing that he cared about my potential and growth, as well as showed an equal level of care for my colleagues and for the other coworkers under his umbrella, it built a deep level of trust between us. And it meant so much to me that he cared so much to not let me slip up, to have the hard conversations if they needed to be had, and because he always showed me that he had my best interests at heart. Other types of leaders that I believe do this exceptionally well are leaders like personal trainers and life coaches. There's that kind of tough love element that comes from such a deep level of care, and it's so genuine. Another leader comes to mind, and that is Dr. Nazaruddin. If you are familiar at all with the TV show My 600-Pound Life, then you already know he is so tough on his patients that come to him, but they are at such a point in their life where that is the type of leadership they need, and he recognizes that and he provides that, even though that's not an easy role to be in, especially over a long period. But you never, with few exceptions, it's rare that you ever see any of his patients not being incredibly grateful for that style of leadership, because that is what truly makes the difference for a lot of people. My current boss is also really wonderful at a few things, and I'd love to talk more about that with my next slide. And that is that great leaders want to see you succeed. Your success is not a threat to anyone. The first thing that shows me that a great leader really cares about your success is that they provide you with genuine feedback. Similar to the example I just gave about building trust and consistency, the boss I have now is exceptionally great at this. She will, she has proven to me through the years that I've known her that she is trustworthy, so trustworthy that when she gives me genuine feedback, positive, negative, that I know she is doing it because she cares so much. That is just her character. She's not a fluffer. And even though I know that it means a lot to her that I feel good and that I feel good about myself and my work, I know her and I trust her enough to know that she would never just tell me something because she wants me to feel good. And having that level of trust in a boss is revolutionary. It's honestly a non-negotiable for me with any boss going forward. It has helped me grow. It has helped me feel more confident in myself and in my work. And just having that consistency in her, it also inspires me to be the same way, not just in work, but in life as well, because there's so many opportunities for us to be leaders outside of work. And all of these lessons, I think, are so applicable to almost every
So see
area
how the
of life.
video is right
Oh, so sorry.
there.
Yeah.
It's still not.
Yeah,
I will
but
take
you
care of
also
that.
don't have
I'll
a
mute her,
mind.
sorry.
Sorry, y'all. I think somebody came off of mute.
I took care of it, thank you.
Thank you so much. A great leader, they don't just offer praise, they provide honest, constructive feedback that helps others grow. Genuine feedback isn't about criticism. It's about giving people the insights that they need and often can't see in themselves. And that helps them refine their skills and reach their full potential. When leaders take the time to offer thoughtful, specific, and actionable feedback, they show that they are truly invested in your success. So I think that's really amazing. Another great part of this is that they see your development as part of their role as a leader. True leaders understand that their success isn't measured just by their own achievements, but by the growth of those around them. They don't see your development as an afterthought or something that is fully on your shoulders to develop. They see it as one of their core responsibilities. Whether it's through mentorship, coaching, or simply creating opportunities for others to step up and show those leadership qualities. Great leaders actively invest in helping their teams develop their skills and their confidence. Another one is that they will walk with you through challenges. Leadership isn't just about guiding when things are going well. It's about standing beside your people when things get tough as well. The best leaders don't abandon their teams in moments of difficulty. They offer support, encouragement, and solutions. Whether it's navigating a setback, tackling a difficult project, or overcoming self-doubt. This presence not only builds resilience, but it also creates a culture of trust and loyalty, which as leaders, we know are huge priorities. Another one is that they talk positively about you when given the opportunity. Me and my coworker, we always joke that our boss is our biggest hype woman. And again, we've established such a level of trust that it's not fluff. I don't take it as like, oh, okay, well, she said another sweet thing about me. Isn't that nice? I take it as she only brings these things to my attention when I know she means them. And so it's so much more impactful to get that kind of feedback. It's really amazing. And again, an absolute non-negotiable for me and bosses going forward. A leader's words carry weight, as we know, and great leaders use that influence to uplift and advocate for others. They recognize the importance of celebrating people's contributions, acknowledging their hard work, and speaking positively about them in rooms where it matters and in rooms where they may likely never end up and have a chance to kind of show that for themselves. Their belief in someone's potential can be the spark that propels them forward. And speaking from my own experience, I absolutely think that's true. It just gives you a next level of confidence. And as we just talked about, that is so important in the workplace, in life, anywhere that you want to show up as a leader. Next, they care enough to have the hard conversations. A strong leader doesn't shy away from addressing challenges, holding people accountable, or providing difficult feedback if needed. They care enough and they have that genuine care for your growth enough to be honest, even when it's uncomfortable and hard, because they want to see you succeed enough to be able to put themselves in that situation. Hard conversations, when done with empathy and respect, can lead to breakthroughs, stronger relationships, and personal and professional growth. Great leaders don't avoid the hard conversations. They approach them with the mindset of growth, development, and support. Next, another great lesson that was kind of hard for me to learn as a leader is to be prepared to challenge the current ways of thinking. If you are a big people person like I am, this may not come as naturally to you. I think for some, they're kind of born with that kind of drive, that kind of fire behind them. And so this may not be a challenge for all, but for me, this was hard. I always wanted to be agreeable, and I came from a customer service background where your entire focus is making sure that your customers are happy, content, that you're meeting all their needs. And that led to a little bit of a yes man kind of mentality that I really had to actively work on when I shifted, especially from supervisor to manager. And that was hard. And that's something that my coworker really helped me work through because she takes so much care and consideration in every decision. And she does that to set a standard of excellence. And I learned really quickly that by not giving decisions the time and consideration that they really deserved, that I was not upholding a standard of excellence. And as a leader, we're called to do that, to set the standard and to be the example. And if your kind of default reaction to situations is just to say yes, then you aren't giving each decision the time and consideration that it really deserves. And in the role, it is the role of every leader to be the driver of change. Leadership is not about maintaining the status quo. It's about pushing forward, innovating, and driving meaningful, lasting change. Great leaders recognize that growth and progress require intentional effort, and they take the responsibility for initiating that movement. Whether it's improving processes, shaping culture, or inspiring brand new ideas, leaders set the tone for the transformation, which leads to the next point of respectfully challenging the current ways of thinking. There's definitely a right and a wrong way to go about it. And I say right and wrong, meaning you'll either have buy-in from the people who you are leading, or you won't altogether, or they will be very hesitant and skeptical and resistant to change. The process begins with the courage to question the way things have always been done. Strong leaders don't challenge for the sake of being disruptive. They do it with respect, curiosity, and a genuine desire to see things improve. By asking thoughtful questions, encouraging different perspectives, and fostering open dialogue, they create the environment where innovation can thrive. And then to do that, I definitely would recommend starting small whenever possible and managing your own expectations along the way. Big changes do not happen overnight, and leaders who try to transform everything at once often end up frustrated or overwhelmed, not just yourself, but also your team. The best leaders understand that the power of starting small and focusing on manageable steps, celebrating those small wins, and gradually building the momentum you need. They set realistic expectations for themselves and others, knowing that sustainable and lasting change is often a process. And it truly is. I think anyone who's been in the workforce for any amount of time at all can testify that is the case. And then also definitely want to recommend to make changes patiently and graciously. I think those two words are such a defining term for leaders because change can be difficult. Not everyone embraces it at the same pace. Effective leaders recognize that patience and grace are essential when guiding people through times of transition. They listen to concerns, acknowledge challenges, and give people the time and support that they need to adapt whenever possible. Instead of forcing change, they cultivate buy-in through understanding and encouragement, ensuring that the process will be as smooth and as positive as possible. And as leaders, it is our challenge to figure out the way to do that for our teams. And it's not always possible to make things as easy and seamless as we would love for them to be, but just being the voice of trying to make that happen, I think will really instill so much confidence in your team. It has in me seeing leaders that I've worked with do that, and it certainly does make a difference. And then also to make your team feel like they are part of the change and not just the executors of the change. Lasting change happens when people feel a sense of ownership and involvement in the process. Leaders who truly inspire transformation don't just dictate change from the top down. They engage their team in meaningful ways. They seek their input, value their perspectives, and empower them to be a part of the solution. When people feel like active participants rather than passive executors, they are more committed, motivated, and investing in making the change successful. So I absolutely would love to encourage you and challenge you as a leader to keep that in mind. Next, leaders often challenge the status quo. The role of a leader, oh, so sorry, y'all. I think I meant to skip over that slide. Exceptional leaders take on the impossible. I have a really cool story to share with you. This is a personal story that I've never had the chance to tell publicly, but it's something that is so meaningful to me in my life, and I think is one of the best examples of leadership I've ever witnessed in my life. So when I was a teenager, my family and I were Christian missionaries in Mexico. During our time there, we worked with a local children's home. And we also started a church and a school. And one of the things we learned really quickly when working with this children's home is that unfortunately, it's somewhat common for parents to not register their children at birth. And that causes them a lot of problems as they grow up, especially as they move into adulthood. And the main issue that it causes them is that it doesn't allow them to pursue an education. And that is tough. And a lot of schools will be gracious enough to let the children come and learn. But because they are never registered at birth, they are not able to receive any kind of documentation showing that they've completed up to a certain level in their education. And this was something that my parents very quickly recognized and saw as a big problem. And as they looked at this issue, having no experience in any capacity, working with government, working with Mexican government, most of all, they decided that they weren't going to sit and wait and just think, man, I hope somebody with all the right qualifications can come along and really make a difference for these children. And I actually want to go ahead and go to my next slide so I can show you some of the faces and some of our children at our school. The two photos that you see with all the kids in the uniform, that was actually from the first year. We more than doubled the second year. And what is so special to me about this story and what makes it the best display of leadership that I've ever seen is that my parents, they took on the impossible. I mean, how do you look at a situation like that with no experience, no guidance, and think, you know what? I'm going to be the one to do this. I'm going to be the one to make this change and to revolutionize the lives of these children and every child that comes after them that is going through the same situation. And through a lot of perseverance and a lot of learning and dedication and studying, they did it. It's incredible. And it's something that is so special because they literally changed lives forever. From now on, since they made that change, any child born in that state in Mexico that is not registered at birth can take a special curriculum that they developed, thank you to the efforts of my parents, and they will be able to get a full education. And that is just amazing. And I can't believe, and they can't believe, that this was even ever an opportunity brought before them. But I think that being a leader, so much of it is being bold enough to even be open to these seemingly impossible challenges. And will each of us in our respective workplaces and lives have an opportunity this big to change lives at this level? Honestly, I wouldn't count it out. My parents are just regular people, and they took on an impossible challenge and made a forever difference for these kids. And it's really just so amazing and so powerful. And ultimately, leadership is defined by the impact that we leave on the people around us. It's about inspiring and empowering others and creating positive change that lasts and goes beyond us. In the journey from supporting role to leadership, it's not just about climbing a corporate ladder, that can certainly be part of it, but the highest calling of a leader is to be prepared for the unexpected, to actively work on building confidence, to be someone who is worthy of trust, not afraid to challenge the current ways of thinking, and be bold in the face of impossible challenges. Do it for others and do it for yourself. That is my challenge for everyone on this call. Thank you so much.
Well, Megan, thank you for that wonderful presentation and for sharing that story. And everyone, please keep all those questions coming into the chat. I think we have time for maybe one or two questions. I'll go with this one from Marianne. She says, what specific things did your boss do over time to gain your trust and make you feel like she really cared about giving you that criticism?
I appreciate that question. And not to repeat myself, but truly it's the consistency. The more that I saw that she was consistent, not just with me and the way she approached me and challenges, but also the way that she approaches my coworkers. There's just a very consistent and trustworthy level of confidence that I have in approaching her and knowing that when she approaches me, that I'm going to be treated with a certain level of respect and that she is doing it from such a place of genuine care about me and my growth.
That's wonderful. Thank you. All right, one final question, then we'll ask you for last thoughts. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through other questions. Annabeth says, was there a time when you felt like you were over imposter syndrome and had become confident?
Yes, and then no. I think imposter syndrome kind of comes in waves, especially if you are transitioning into different roles and or if your role starts to evolve and look a little bit different. One example I could share is that we work with an external marketing agency and we recently switched from one to another and just seeing, and they were both amazing, don't get me wrong, but just seeing the level that this new group works at was intimidating. I really had to question, am I at their level? Are they going to work with me and think, wow, she's not at our level? So I would say yes. And through that process of kind of experiencing that again, just keep reminding yourself that you've proven to yourself so many times in the past that you can do it and start to count the evidence of, I was scared here and I made it through. I was scared here and I made it through. And that has really, really helped me. And if you're a list keeper like I am, make a list of the accomplishments, big and small.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, so before we move to Carrie's presentation, any final words of wisdom?
Well, I would just maybe reiterate a little bit of kind of what I said in my closing statement. Leadership is something, when it's done well, it goes beyond you. It makes a lasting impact that serves you as much as it serves others. Being trustworthy is key, and that is built through being consistent and showing up for the people in your life. And also, leadership is not confined to the workplace. Everyone needs leaders in their lives. People look for leaders, and everyone here clearly has a desire for that. And I just want to wish you all the best in your journeys. I appreciate you so much. This has been amazing.
Well, thank you, Megan. It's been a great way to start our afternoon.
Thank you.